Hi, this is Congressman Rick Larsen with my weekly recap with Rick, staying socially distant at least 6 feet apart from Joe, who's doing the recording here today. On this week's recap with Rick, a couple issues I want to cover with you. First off is that the House of Representatives did pass the Justice in Policing Act, which is going to bring life-saving reforms to local law enforcement and communities around the country. There's a lot to the bill, but I think it's important that Congress move forward on the Justice and Policing Act because we need to be responsive to the concerns that have been expressed by the Black Lives Matter movement and other communities of color in our country. Today as well, we passed for the first time, took a historic vote and passed the DC statehood bill to make Washington, DC a state and finally give it representation, official representation in the U.S. Congress. Now the bill goes to the Senate and I call on the Senate to pass back both of those bills. Next week coming up, I'll be in D.C. as well. We are on the floor of the House of Representatives working on and hopefully passing the Moving Forward Act, a major long-term robust investment in transportation and infrastructure in this country because we know where we live in Washington State, transportation investment means jobs, and we can't have a big league economy with little league infrastructure. So as we're thinking about getting the other side of COVID-19 and economic recovery, we need to be thinking about an infrastructure-based economic recovery. Moving Forward Act that does just that. As well, we'll be in committee on the Armed Services Committee to mark up the National Defense Authorization Act. There's a lot going on in this bill. I think the most important thing is that it continues to make an investment to support the women and men and their families who serve in the U.S. military. So let's keep those folks in mind as we're moving forward next week to debate the National Defense Authorization Act in the Armed Services Committee. And finally, next week we're going to do a bill to strengthen and protect the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act was working as it was planned to work by reducing the uninsured rate, by stabilizing premiums. Over the last 3.5 years, we've seen a continual undermining of the Affordable Care Act by this administration. We're going to move forward and strengthen, protect, and stabilize the ACA so we can get back to doing the work that it was doing to reduce the uninsured rate in this country and to stabilize premiums. So that's this week's recap with Rick. Look forward to talking to you next week before we take a very small break for the 4th of July next week. So I'll see you then. Thanks a lot.